Hello everybody, my name is Alexandra with This is Improv, and we are here with another beautiful educational video. I don't know why I sang that, but I did. Today we are going over another historic figure in the theater realm, Konstantin Stanislavski. Stanislavski is the reason why a lot of the well-known theater practitioners, especially in the 20s and 30s, did what they did. They saw his methods and they thought, I can make this my own. I can morph it and change it. So we are going to go over all things Stanislavski today, and I am really excited because he's really interesting. Konstantin Stanislavski was born and raised in Russia. He was a theater practitioner and really well known for his characters. He became famous for his character acting and then became even more well known for his amazing directing skills. His principal frame rests on his system, his techniques, and his rehearsal skills. Now, his stage name, which I think is fun when people have a stage name, was just Stanislavski. Sounds really mature. He was an amateur director and an amateur actor until about the age of 33, which is when he founded the Moscow Art Theater. And he started it with Vladimir Nemirovich Danchenko. We'll just call him Vlad. I think one of the fun things is that a lot of companies start over a dinner table, right? And this one just started over an 18-hour discussion between the two. Moscow Art Theater ended up touring all throughout Europe and then through the US. Actually, in the US was in 1923 and 1924. And through that time of the Moscow Art Theater touring through the United States is when people in film in the US started to view this new style of theater. The reason why it was so endearing is because it was very honest. Konstantin's system after the Moscow Arts Theater went to America influenced people such as Lee Strasberg, Stella Adler, and the all-famous Meisner. One of Stanislavski's goals while touring and while promoting all of theater was specifically promoting Russian theater and Russian writers, such as Chekhov, Gorky, and Bulgakov. He also really enjoyed directing classical Russian and European plays. The man was diverse. At the MAT 30-year anniversary in 1928, Stanislavski had a major heart attack that eradicated his acting career. And as actors say, the show must go on, so Stanislavski didn't seek medical attention until the curtains closed. He didn't let the fact that he couldn't act anymore stop his theatrical career. He continued to direct, write, and teach all of these things that he has learned over the years. In 1938, he published an actor's work. He was awarded 3 times that year for his work and was the first person to be awarded People's Artist of the USSR. Stanislavski wasn't that big on talking about himself or boasting about himself because he believed that an artist is revealed through their work. He even said things like, there's nothing more tedious than an actor's biography, and that actors should be banned from talking about themselves. Even though Stanislavski didn't enjoy talking about himself, a US publisher did convince him to write an autobiography, and it was published in 1924. It was then released in Russia in 1926, and not everything was very accurate in the translation, but it was republished and retranslated 3 other times, the last one being in 1999. Now that we have discussed a little bit of the history of Stanislavski, I do want to touch upon his almighty and powerful system. Stanislavski developed his system to assist him in getting rid of any blocks from the outside world. This means that he subjected his directing and acting to rigorous self-reflection. This system was created not only to avoid any blocks, but to truly and completely understand every role in every play that he did direct. So he would break down each role, each play in as much detail as possible, from context to blocking, dramaturgy. I mean, he studied the entire show And I mean the entire show as much as possible. It really reminds me of when Uta Hagen talks about context. You need to understand the writer and where they were coming from to understand your character and the show you are portraying. And he would do all of this prior to the first rehearsal. When he was directing shows, he would introduce this discussion period prior to the production and prior to certain rehearsals. So all of the actors would have these detailed analysis of their characters and share them with the group. So everyone understood where everyone's character was coming from, and Stanislavski could understand how they perceived their character within the show. Because great leaders always communicate, I'm just saying. Despite all of this detail put in, despite this naturalistic way of approaching theater, Stanislavski was still not satisfied, which led him to use something called psychological realism. He was trying to break down the context, the subtext that was within Chekhov's plays, and since he wasn't satisfied with his first approach, he went real deep down in his brain. In using the psychological approach, he did end up making 3 branches, which he used every time. The first is the director-centered, the second is the actor-centered, and the third is a naturalistic approach. So basically what Stanislavski had done is he wanted the realist reaction from the actor. He wanted the realist emotion, the realist everything. He wanted it to be true. Because when you are acting, you do want it to relate to your audience. You want that connection to happen. And he believed that the only way to achieve a true, well-acting form was to be as real to yourself in the character as possible. He's one of the reasons why the method is such a largely used form of acting. He wanted the directors, he wanted the actors to truly imagine themselves within these roles, create these as-ifs. If I was this person, what would I react to with this situation? And Stanislavski took away the as-if. He was saying, this has happened to me, how am I going to react? So that he felt better connected to the characters, and so his actors would also connect better. You take away the, if John reacted to this, what would John do? No, I'm John. How would I react to this? And in all honesty, it's not a poor choice of theater practice. If you are trying to understand a role, there are people who write books of diaries about characters when they're writing about them. There are people who will lock themselves in their house and become the character and attempt to picture themselves in the role of this character. How do you think they feel about a certain food? How would they feel about something going on in the news? And really break it down. It's not a poor choice of experimental theater. Truly, he wanted to see what your subconscious would do in reaction to something happening. Now, I find Stanislavski's system extremely interesting because he did combine psychological practices with theatrical practices, which often happens. I feel that psychology and theater are so parallel because you are studying humans. You are studying human behavior. Even if you're playing a dog, you are studying the psychology of a dog. And it's always fun and it's always interesting to find out new things. When you're doing something like dramaturgy, you're not only studying the history of it, but you are breaking down the psychology of this generation or time period or something like that. And when you're researching as a psychologist, you are trying to understand this person, where they come from, their history, their background. You see? Honestly, people are just truly fascinating, and I think Stanislavski recognized that. He really did make way for a new generation of theater in the United States, and he's one of the reasons why we do have the practices of Stella Adler and Meisner. They saw the Moscow Art Theater when it went to America in 1924, and then they were fascinated and they wanted to learn it and experience it, and later taught their own form of theater based off of it. I want to thank you guys so much for sticking with me until the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed this little piece of Stanislavski and his system. Every single Thursday, we are going to be focusing on something educational or something involving business. So you can come back every single week. On Tuesdays, we have Talk About It Tuesday, where we talk all things about the arts, people's history with it, or their fascination with it, or their experiences with it. And on Saturdays, it is just a whole ball of fun because it is a sketch or music day. This is Improv is also offering virtual classes. We are completely online and we are offering classes for improvisation, writing, improv for life, and corporate team building. So if you would like to sign up today, you can go to www.thisisimprov.com. You can also go on there and see what we're all about. We truly believe that everyone can always find their funny in their everyday life. So please make sure to subscribe, like, share, do all the doodads, and follow us on our social medias. I want to thank you, you beautiful creatures. I hope you have a wonderful and beautiful rest of your day. Stay safe. Goodbye.